Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and I wanted to do a live today because I found some really cool alpha on some pools, and I want to make sure that I get these out to you and share them with you. Let me share my screen real quick. We'll do a little bit of news. I'll try not to duplicate anything that anybody else is doing. Falco, appreciate you, brother. Noob dude, doobie doo. This is I don't even know. So yeah, no, it's I appreciate y'all showing up. Those of you that don't know, I am Mike, and I specialize. I'm in the process of learning about DeFi. I've been in it pretty deep for about 5 6 months now. Been learning about it for about 3 4 years now, but I finally decided to dip my toe in, and being retired military, I have a lot of time on my hands. I homestead, the cabin you see behind me, built it myself. And so spend, especially during the winter time when there's not a whole lot of chores outside, I spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day learning about crypto and DeFi and, other topics. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of background so you know where I'm coming from with my knowledge base. But with that, I won't get too deep into the markets. Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, and BitLab Academy does a great job with that. But markets are looking steady. Let's see. If you could go ahead and follow us on YouTube at DeFi Crypto Airdrop. We definitely want to start helping people. Not necessarily jump, right into DeFi balls deep. I want people to learn about it, and then just as you feel comfortable, start dipping a toe in mitigating your risk. So, starting out with lending, starting out with staking, start out with full range liquidity pools, to where there's a lot less risk to your bags, and always use just a portion of your bags when it comes to doing DeFi. Don't use all your HODL bags because and especially when you're just starting. So with that, next, if you could follow us, veteran number 4 crypto on X. I'm always dropping alpha on there. Just anytime I find good pools, anything like that. We also have a Discord about to launch with Discover Crypto, our brother channels, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, and BitLab Academy, where you'll be able to talk to all of us, and all of us kind of have our own specialties. Jeff, that is usually on the channel with me on Mondays and Saturdays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. He specializes in airdrops. A lot of times is able to give a lot of really good early alpha on early projects. So, as he's working with new projects, earning airdrops, he's the one that turned me on to Plume, which I'll get into here in a second, and see huge potential for it. And he's given me the line on a bunch of other really interesting projects as well. And so we do those on Mondays and Saturdays if you're interested. Let's see. So just some quick news real quick. We got Coinbase is introducing a Bitcoin yield fund. And so this is important when it comes to adoption and introducing normies to DeFi and to crypto. The huge issue with adoption right now and the barriers to entry is not a lot of people have the time or the inclination to go on an exchange, buy crypto, learn about wallets, learn how to bridge, learn how to interact with these, DeFi protocols, the dashboards and stuff like that. A lot of people don't have that time, or the bandwidth. So places like Coinbase that are able to offer these things like the Bitcoin loans through Morpho, directly on the centralized exchange Coinbase, and this earning yield on your Bitcoin. They already have USDC earning to where you can earn like around 5% just by holding USDC on Coinbase. So now you're going to be able to earn yield on Bitcoin. So it's not going to be a lot, but 4 to 8% net return in Bitcoin per year. So instead of holding fiat in a bank account, you can hold Bitcoin that is an appreciating asset, that goes up in value. And on top of that, you can earn 4 to 8% yield on it. Great opportunity. It's a lot better opportunity to grow the value of your liquidity than it is just holding fiat in the bank that's going down in value due to inflation. Hey, what's up, Jay, Ducey, Granny? Appreciate you. Wispy, Kyle, Stan. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end. I'll, after I go through these plume pools and this BTC pool and stuff like that, I'm sure there's going to be some questions, and I'll make sure that I get to all those. Next up is MasterCard jumps into stablecoin trend with new crypto payment offering. So just the quick takeaways, bottom line up front, MasterCard is partnering with payments processor Nuvei and crypto exchange OKX with its largest digital asset ambitions. The move will allow individuals to spend stablecoins at point of sale. So it looks like they're going to offer a card, and you can have your stable coins, just like Coinbase is planning on having a Coinbase card. You're going to be able to have a debit card and basically spend your stable coins off of OKX. This is going to become more and more normal, and I think that eventually, with regulation, we're going to see this with banks. You're already starting to see where you can earn 5%, and stuff like that on savings accounts. I'm not using those when I can use DeFi. I can get much better returns on yield and hold an appreciating asset, like I just talked about with Bitcoin. So, not a big fan of banks, but as this evolves, they might end up offering something. And of course, you all know stable coins are considered to be the backbone of the crypto ecosystem, which is something that I should probably touch on. That right now, stablecoin minting is going through the roof, and we're actually at higher levels now than we have been historically. And what that signals usually is, since they're pegged to the dollar, that means that Circle and Tether and all of these stablecoin issuers see a huge influx of liquidity of fiat being onboarded into crypto in the near future. And so they need to have those stable coins ready to absorb that liquidity. So it's just one of many indicators that tells me that right now is a good time to be bullish. Last two, Cointelegraph. New Cambridge latest study reveals that use of sustainable energy in Bitcoin mining jumps 52.4% up from its 2022 estimate of 37.6. Those of you that are into the green thing, this is something that was a sticking point a couple of years ago, where they were worried about Bitcoin, basically, with the carbon footprint, those sorts of things. Thought I'd throw something in there for you guys. Cointelegraph, an update. This is what I was talking about with stablecoins. The total stablecoin market cap is nearing a new all-time high of $240 billion, with over 5 billion issued in just the past week. So you can see that this graph is starting to go parabolic. I mean, it's just doing nothing but minting stablecoins, getting ready for this bull run. But that's about all I have for the news. So let's jump right into this. So actually, let's go to here first. All right, let's actually check and see if we got any good questions. Sounds like, yep, Moonwell, absolutely dooby doo. Moonwell is going to be one that is going to be just like a bank. It's where you can hold assets, you can put them in vaults and pools, earn, and then they have a card that you're going to be able to spend with. Who else we got? All right, cool. No questions. All right, so this is what I found, and I waited until today to give you all this because it went for 2 weeks and it was set to expire. Is these Uniswap bonus pools, and I wanted to make sure. I couldn't find any literature on it that said if it was going to renew, but I'm interested in this USDC wrapped Bitcoin. So right now that pays out an equal amount of wrapped Bitcoin and USDC. But on top of that, you earn an additional 81.37% paid out in the new Uni token. So a total of 100% is what you'll earn. You know, is where I try to be. If I can earn 10% yield on my investments per month, do the quick math. If you have $10,000 in in liquidity pools, and you can earn 10%, you're making an extra $1,000 a month. $100,000, you're making $10,000 a month. It's a realistic place to be as far as yield to earn in DeFi. Yes, you can go chasing high APRs that potentially it's change. You can earn a lot of money. It's like a meme coin, but also usually it's on questionable exchanges or with questionable assets that can go to zero in a split second. Like meme coins and stuff like that. So if you have to, go ahead and play in those, gamble in those, but not as I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I would use very small portions of your portfolio for things like that. Me personally, I am building out a portfolio for sustainable long-term yield that is going to augment my income, make me passive income monthly that I can use to, improve my property, buy land, buy guns, take vacations, do whatever I want to do, build a shop on my property, things like that. That is rinse and repeat. That every month, I'm making a couple extra $1,000 or $10,000, because that is what, to me, long term is going to change your life. Chasing meme coins, you might as well go buy a lottery ticket, in my opinion. For every person that gets rich in meme coins, there's thousands of people that lost everything because there's only so much liquidity. If you lost your money, it went to somebody who got in early and cashed out. That's just the way it works. So, again, you know, if you want to gamble, that's on you. But me personally, I'm looking to make money that is, going to change my life over time. Slow and steady wins the race. So anyway, back to this. So to save you all some time, I went ahead and I had a bunch of Arrow and a bunch of other base tokens that I harvested this morning from a bunch of my pools, and I converted them or bridged them over to the Uni chain. It was a little bit of an involved process, and I'll do a separate video on that, but it takes about 25 minutes for that process. So I wanted to do that separately. I don't want you guys sitting around waiting for that process to finalize. So that being said, I have a bunch of USDC on Uni right now. So I'm going to go in here, and you can see this passes all of my, actually, let me show it real quick. This passes all of my tests. So you can see that the TVL is way more than 250K. It's 20 million. The daily volume is 5 million. Plenty of volume. That's where you earn your fees. That's what I'm looking at. I don't care if something has a high APR. If it doesn't have volume, you know, high APR on no fees is $0. So I want a high volume. All right. So I jump in here. You can see 109%, because of the 27 plus the 81. I go up here to the top right. Oh, you know what? Real quick, I will show you this. So if you hover up here, right where it says USDC wrapped Bitcoin, you have this copy. You can hit that and then go over here to Deck Screener, go to search, paste it into here. Oh, and it will bring up this chart. So once this chart is up, this is how I decide if I'm doing a range position, a concentrated liquidity position. This is how I find my range. So I use longer time frames because the longer you can stay in range, the more that you're going to earn. So I like using, you're not going to be using 5 minute or 15 minute, time frames on this. I would use 1 hour or even 4 hour time frames. So you can see this hasn't been around that long. So basically, since this pool was created on Uniswap, this is where, how it's been moving. So I'll come here, do a horizontal line. Basically, this looks like, you had a little bit of a double bottom here. So let's mark that out. And then let's put this one. This is about as high as it's gone, about 100K. And we know that Bitcoin at one point went up to about 104, 106. So I'm just going to go ahead and set a nice wide range on this. So let's say 106. So 106, and I'm going to tighten up the bottom because I don't see Bitcoin doing any hard dips. Let's actually bring it up even higher. Let's go to here. So we're going to do 106 and 80K. Let's see. So let's go back to here. We're going to add liquidity. All right. USD wrapped Bitcoin. The 0.3% highest TVL, and it has the reward APR. So I'll continue. You can see I can do a full range, which is basically no matter what the price of Bitcoin does, I'm going to earn less APR. But no matter what the price of Bitcoin does, if it goes to zero, which I don't think it will do, or if it goes to Valhalla, you're going to always be earning. You're just going to be earning a lower APR. I want to earn a higher APR because I feel like the market is going to start pumping here soon. And as it pumps, I'm going to be getting price appreciation plus whatever APR I'm earning on this pool. And then as it goes out the top, I'll be all in on USDC. And when I rebalance, it will just sell some of that USDC back into wrapped Bitcoin. And I'll just continue to get price appreciation plus whatever fees I earn. So I'm just going to do a nice wide range. I'll go to custom range. I'm going to do it, click on this because I want it in to be priced in Bitcoin. And you can see it put 106 and 82.9. Actually, you know what? I love that range. That looks like a beautiful range. So I'm going to go ahead and run with that. And then deposit tokens. Let's see. So let's do the max. All right, I don't got enough for that. Let's see if I go down to, let's try 750. All right, don't got enough for that. Let's actually go 725. That's the kind of the pain in the ass with a lot of these, and that's why I love VFAT so much. Is with VFAT, I could just put all of this, USDC on Unichain into the pool, and it would just figure it out for me. This, unfortunately, you have to, play this little fruity game of figuring out how much of one you can put in. Son of a bitch. All right, so 650 I can do. Let's try 660. All right, 660 I can do. Let's try 670. All right, we can do that too. Let's try 680. All right, 680 we can do. Let's try 690. All right, it's saying I can do 690. Let's try 700 again. All right, 700 is too much. So we're going to do 690. All right, so review. All right, so I'm putting in 690 USDC, and I'm putting in just shy of 600 wrapped Bitcoin. Everything looks good. The bottom end of my range is 82.8, and the top end is 106.5. Here, I'll get to the questions in a second here, DCA. All right. So we're going to create this pool before the price moves. Switch network. All right. My Coinbase wallet comes up. Zero network fee. And it's thinking about it. And the position's created. There you go. So now you can see at the top, I have $1,287.77 in this pool, and I am earning 16% APR on USDC wrapped Bitcoin because of how wide I set the range. And then I'm earning an additional 81.8% or 81.6. Sorry, I got old eyes. 81.6% in Uni token. So I'm earning USDC, wrapped Bitcoin, and the Uni token all at the same time. So this is why I love DeFi. I'm earning, I think it's about, what would it be? About 97.8% right now. If the volume goes up and the demand goes up and people are swapping more, APR could go up. I mean, I've seen it as high as I was making. When I looked the other yesterday, it was about 150% total is what I would have been making. So this is going to fluctuate all the time. But for a BTC pool, this is awesome, and it's a great exchange. It's on Uniswap. You're earning you're stacking three different bags. Uni, which I don't have any of yet. Now I'm earning some and stacking bags. Wrapped Bitcoin, and so I'm basically going to start stacking my long term position for Bitcoin. I'm not going to sell any of my Bitcoin from now on. This is my bull run bag. So as everything's going up, I'm going to be putting it into this because it's USDC and Bitcoin. USDC is a stable coin that I'm confident in. So I'm just going to let that grow. That's my dry powder that I can harvest. And actually, if I remember right, I can actually. I think once I have some fees, I'll have to check to be sure. But if I remember right, actually, you know what? Here, let me check on one of my plume positions. Yeah, you can see. See, I harvested my plume to do this. Um, yeah, collect fees. Okay, never mind. I thought I could just collect one or the other, but regardless, I can take USDC and Bitcoin fees that I earn from this. I can harvest them, and then I can add those back into this pool, so I can keep earning, just keep building that bag. And again, I'm building USDC and Bitcoin. I want those long term. I don't care if they take a dump. I mean, USDC isn't going to take a dump, and if it does, we have bigger things to worry about. Bitcoin, I don't care if it takes a hit. I'm going to hold Bitcoin long term. I haven't held any up until now. I have other positions that I see being a faster horse where I'm going to make 5, 10, 20 or more X's. And then I'll start taking profits out of those, from uh, my uh, take profit plan, and I'll be rolling that into stable coins and to Bitcoin and putting into DeFi pools to earn and wait, for the drawback, for the bear market. And with that, then I'll start DCing back in. So my plan is if I can 10x my portfolio, I'll have 500K. And with 500K, I want to use 300,000 in DeFi and stables and Bitcoin to just earn an average of 10% per month. And if I can do that on $300,000, that is $3,000 a month, roughly. I mean, I know it's not exact math, but roughly $3,000 a month of passive income that just comes in and that I can use as dry powder if I don't want to take a trip or I don't want to do something around the property, that I can start putting on the side and putting into other pools and things like that, and just building my portfolio to where then maybe I'll a couple months later I'll be making 4,000 and then 5,000, and I'll have $200,000 on the side that in probably in stables earning like 5 or 10% or something like that. nothing crazy. So, that's the portfolio that I'm building out is I want to augment my income, my monthly income. And, that's where what I see DeFi is great for. Yes, there are some higher risk plays that I'm going to do to try to get it to where I can make 20, 30, 40% uh, you know, per month, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, so we're in that pool. Let's see if we've earned any fees yet. All right, so no fees yet. Damn it. All right. But you see, this is all my pools. Now, this one I actually migrated. Those of you that have been watching, I started out with V3 pools, but there is V4 pools that have some automations that optimize yield. So I did some tests where I had two very similar positions, two very similar ranges. Just one was in V3 and one was in V4. The V4 was earning much better than the V3. So I migrated this position over, and when I did that, it took some of my liquidity out of the pool. So I'm going to put that liquidity and some additional liquidity that I've harvested back into this pool. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to add liquidity. And you can see here that I have 1,137 plume and I have 281 USDC. So let's see how much. All right, so I can't do that. Let's see if I can sell off. So I got about $1,000. Actually, here, let's do some math real quick. Like I said, this is the one thing that's a little bit annoying about. So I have 200, so 1,200. So I need around $600 of each. So I need $400, like $420. So I need to sell $420 of my plume. So let's go to swap. 420. All right, let's do this. All right, so plume, and let's do USDC. So we're going to sell. Let's see. So $420. Let's try 25%. Let's try 50%. All right, so let's try 2,800. All right, let's try 2,500. All right, good enough. So 2,500 plume is $432, and I'm swapping that into USDC on ETH. I'll review that. That's going to cost me 20 cents to do and a dollar fee for here on Uniswap. Again, these fees is what's paying people that's providing liquidity on Uniswap and Aerodrome and things like that. This is how you're earning fees is people doing this. Sign and swap. I know you can't see these windows popping up, so I'll just rush through them. All right. Double checking all the fees. Network fee of a dollar. Damn ETH mainnet. All right, while we're waiting for that, let's see what we got on the questions. Let's go back up to DCA. All right, DCA and Prey. What happens if the price goes out of range? So on a concentrated liquidity pool, if you go out of that range, you stop earning yield. Now, if say the Bitcoin wrapped Bitcoin USDC pair, if I'm in the middle, actually, you know what? Let me finish this real quick, and I'll actually get to that because I know some people are visual, so I want to show you. All right, so back to my position here. I want to add the liquidity to this position. So add liquidity. All right, brings that up. Son of a biscuit. All right, so it's not letting me do that. So this is the annoying thing about Let's try this. All right, not 3,000. Let's try 2,500. Ooh, just shy. All right, so let's try 2,490. Damn it. All right, 2,480. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna add about 1,100 bucks, or excuse me, about $1,000, and I'll come and put the rest in later, so you guys aren't sitting here watching me mess with this. So we're gonna add. We're gonna confirm, and again, it's just a bunch of windows popping up. I know you can't see them. It's thinking about it, and then we'll get to your questions. So get your questions in because I don't want to keep you guys all day. I just want to just wanted to get this alpha out there. All right, boom. So now I got $1,500 in this position. I only had 400 before. So right now I have a really nice wide range on this, earning 58%. Got this one here. It's a full range position. So again, no matter where the price goes on Plume, I'm constantly stacking Plume and USDC on this one. This one, I'm constantly stacking Plume and USDC up to as long as it stays in range. Same with this one. So these two are basically the same. I just set the ranges different. So one earns a little bit better than the other. And I already earned $1 from like an hour or two ago when I took the fees out of this. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but off of 1,000, 1,300 bucks, I made $1 in about an hour. So that's $24 a day. You know, in 10 days, that's $240. In a month, that's almost $1,000. So don't get don't get discouraged when you enter these pools and you're just seeing like, oh, I just made 32 cents. You know, because one, the APRs change and the volumes change. So when you're sleeping, Asia is awake, Europe is awake. They might, be doing a lot of swapping. You might start out with $1. You wake up in the morning and there's 20 bucks in there or 30 bucks in there. Have a long-term mindset when it comes to DeFi. And understand that okay, I'm only making $1 an hour on this one. Say I'm making 50 cents on this one and another dollar here. Now it's 250 per hour. Multiply that times 24 and then that, times 10 and that times 3 and then you get the monthly or just do it by 30. But that is the mindset that is going to make you profitable over people that are trying to use crypto to get rich quick. So with that, let's answer some questions. All right. So DCA and Prey. All right. What happens if you go out of range? Let's pull this up. All right. So this pool, wrapped Bitcoin USDC. You can see that I'm dead center in the range right now. So if the price goes down, it's going to start DCAing me out of let me think, out of USDC into wrapped Bitcoin. If I end up going out of the bottom of the range, all my liquidity will be all in on wrapped Bitcoin. So and whatever that amount of Bitcoin is when it goes out the bottom, like say it's 0.5, just for a round number. No matter what the price does, no matter how low it goes, I'm always going to have 0.5 Bitcoin. It's not like I lose Bitcoin as it goes down. The price of that 0.5 Bitcoin may keep going down, but that doesn't affect how much Bitcoin I have. So when it comes back up to the bottom of this range, I'm still going to have 0.5 Bitcoin. And as it goes back into range, I'll start earning again as long as I didn't close out the position. And as it goes up through the range, it's going to start selling off wrapped Bitcoin into USDC. And if it goes out the top, I'll be all in on USDC. I know this is kind of confusing. It took me a while to figure it out. I'll be all in on USDC. And then if I think it's going to keep going up, then that's when I would rebalance and it would sell off a portion of that USDC back in to wrapped Bitcoin. And the same process starts over. I'd have a new range. And as it's ranging in there, I would be earning yield. And if it goes out the top, I'd be all in USDC again and need to rebalance. Or if it goes out the bottom, I would need to rebalance or just hodl that Bitcoin. So the reason why I started this pool, the market's dumb. I don't care. I'm holding Bitcoin long term. So as it goes out the bottom, like I said, sorry, I'm on Starlink out in the middle of nowhere. So I don't care if I end up being locked, having like one back. I'm bullish on it. I hope you all are. And so if I have like 2 or 3 Bitcoin and it goes out the bottom, yeah, I'm not earning yield, but I'm hodling that Bitcoin. That's what I was going to do with it anyway. And if it comes back into range, then I just start earning yield again. And as it pumps, then I just keep keep selling off some of that Bitcoin into USDC so I can keep earning yield. So that's why DeFi is so powerful. You need to come up with your strategy. Start learning about DeFi. Start learning about these things because it's going to put your portfolio on steroids. The whole time the market's been dumping and moving sideways, me, Mr. Mark, Ellie, a bunch of other people, we've been stacking our bags. We've been stacking Arrow when Arrow was at 30 cents. We've been stacking, USDC. I haven't spent $1 of my own money in the past 4 months, and I've doubled my Arrow bags. I've doubled my Plume bags. I've doubled a bunch of my bags in the past couple of months for free, just using DeFi. So I hope that answers your question, DCA and Pray. All right, what else we got? Um, what is it calculating? Here, let's put this up. What is it calculating? Why will it not allow the max deposit? So so Stan, I don't know if me explaining it before landed with you, but basically what it's doing is if you pick a set range, it's basically going to be an exact 50-50 split. So in this case, I have to deposit an equal amount, dollar amount of wrapped Bitcoin and USDC. Now I can move the ranges to where I can put less of one and more of the other in. But I wanted an equal amount. So again, I'll go back later. And the fact that I was adding to the plume position, it doesn't let me move the levels. I can only do 50-50 split. Like I said, it's one of the things that annoys me about a lot of DeFi platforms and why I love VFAT so much. And I'll actually show you real quick. This is VFAT. So if I want to add liquidity to say this position, this USDC arrow position, I can just hit this increase button. I can pick whatever asset is in my wallet and add that single sided asset, and VFAT will just automatically, swap whatever's necessary to, be able to add that liquidity, that dollar amount to that pool. I really wish Aerodrome and Uniswap would take a fucking lesson from VFAT and do this because these DeFi aggregators are amazing. For that added functionality. And the fact that you can compound your yield or your earnings back into the pool the exact same way. You can select like if I want to say if I want to harvest this $1.99 that I've made in the past hour. If I wanted to harvest that, I can take it in any number of assets. I can take that in Arrow, in Universal Chainlink, wrapped ETH, regular ETH, what Moonwell, UXRP, Pancake Swap. The list goes on. I can take that liquidity however I want. Ellie, Y- Again, Ellie, 100%. It's That's the beauty of DeFi is you're earning money from for free, earning crypto and money for free, and then using that yield to open these new positions. That whole position that I just did for wrapped Bitcoin and USDC, that was all free money. That was all arrow that I earned off my aerodrome positions, that you can see on the screen here. This USDC arrow position that I have on here, and then the other one that I have on the actual aerodrome platform. I earned a little over $1,000, like $1,200 in Arrow just the past couple of weeks, and so that's a good portion of what I used to open this new position. Totally free for me. This is other people's money. This is OPM. So yeah, absolutely, Jay. I mean, who wouldn't feel safe in a USDC Bitcoin liquidity pool? And again, I'm earning around 100% APR with the Uniswap bonus. And the Uniswap bonus might not last forever, but I'm going to take advantage of it while it's here. And right now, it's locked in for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be earning whatever that Uniswap bonus is. And again, stacking a third bag of crypto that I didn't have exposure to before. Yes, please hit the like and share. I want to get this out. I do this for free. Nothing on this channel is monetized. I'm simply here in the partnership we did with Discover Crypto and Blockchain Basement and BitLab Academy, joining that family. I am not earning any money off this. I'm grateful to them for giving me the exposure. This channel that has all the subscribers. We just want to get the word out for DeFi because it's such a life changing opportunity. So please like and share the stream and help me get this word out. I profit from in no way whatsoever from this channel. This is a labor of love. Yeah, I tried leverage trading, Ellie, and I was terrible at it. There's much smarter people that do well. Um, you got Jason Casper, you got Kelly over at BitLab Academy. Drew does really well. DZ does really well. I tried it, and honestly, I hit sometimes and I miss sometimes, and it was just with DeFi, it's a lot more steady. If you build a conservative portfolio like I have, yeah, you're not making 100% on a trade, you're not making 200% on a trade, but I'm not making those 100, 200% losses either. I'm just making a steady 10% a month, and that's how I'm building my portfolio out. Is I want an average of at least 10% a month. If I make more, awesome. If I make less, I might reevaluate my portfolio. But I'm looking for a minimum of 10% a month, and that's good enough for me. Stan asks, oh shit. Sorry, I had this fucking mic over here on the side the whole time. Will VFAT calculate adding liquidity also? Yes. So if you want to add liquidity to the pool, um, basically it just, you pick what asset. If you have USDC, Arrow, whatever, then you just pick that liquidity and it will just add it automatically. Just a couple of clicks, you're done. Let's see. DCA and Prey helps that an ETH transaction fee is only like 20 cents instead of, yeah, dude, I could not agree more. I freaking hated ETH mainnet, and it's the reason I didn't use Uniswap for a long time, and I was using Arrow was the fees. It's like, if you're unless you're putting 10,000 or $100,000 into a liquidity pool, I'm not going to pay a couple $100 in fees every time I want to add liquidity, or I want to increase my position, or I want to take my fees that I've earned. I don't want to spend a couple $100 in fucking fees to take a couple $100 in profits. It eats up all your profits. So it's important that you pay attention, especially when you're using ETH mainnet, to the fees. make sure that you're not going to all your profits aren't going to get eaten up by fees. And if you're using smaller amounts of liquidity, like 50, $100, $200, use base, use Unichain, things like that that have very, very, very negligible fees. Stan, they haven't totally solved their gas fees, but they are much lower. So as you saw when I did what I did, it was like $1. I paid $1 in fees, but instead of like 50 or $100, I mean that's a huge improvement. So I'll take $1 fee, not a problem. All right. So it looks like that's all the questions that I had. So with that, I will do one final check. A tutorial on what part? Sorry, Ellie. I went over a lot of different stuff. Making a tutorial on what later? Let's see. Let's actually check in on those pools real quick while I'm waiting for her answer. Nice. All right. So I'm starting to earn some fees. Sweet. All right. So that's all working out good. Let's see what we're making. All right. Perfect. Loving this. No problem, Stan. I appreciate you all showing up. Okay. Oh, just swapping and bridging the wrapped Bitcoin to make it available on Uniswap. Um. Yeah. Yeah. No. I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. I'm traveling tomorrow. I'll let you all know. Maybe I'll do something like tomorrow night or something like that. But I'm going to be on traveling and doing a couple of meetings tomorrow, so um, I'll see if I can get something knocked out for you. But with that, I appreciate you all, and like I said, just wanted to keep it short. Didn't want to burn your whole day, but I hope you all learned something. And please, again, follow, like, share. Let's get the word out on this. I really, really want people to learn DeFi, even if they don't use it to earn. I want them to understand how DeFi works because it is going to be a part of our financial system. Traditional finance and decentralized finance at some point is going to merge and become one. And it might be seamless to the end user, but if you understand how all this works in the back end, you potentially can earn a lot of money, providing liquidity for a lot of this. And it's really making us the bank, what used to be just institutions and what banks could do with earning off of your money and other people's money. Crypto and DeFi allows all of us to earn off of our liquidity. So I can't stress it enough. Learn DeFi. And if you so desire, I hope you jump in and start earning and wish you the best of luck. With that, Granny, appreciate you. And till next time, Veteran Crypto out.